Hey YouTubers, Rob here looking at another Commodore 64 racing game. This time we're looking at the Great American Cross Country Road Race. This was a game I put a lot of time into as a kid and still actually quite enjoy now. Originally developed by Activision in 1985 and was a conversion of a game originally developed. It was originally developed for the Atari home computer line and it actually started as a bit of a sequel-y expansion sort of game over Enduro, the classic Atari 2600 racing game. So essentially, we just let the demo run for a bit. Essentially, the idea is that you're taking in a race, one of several actually across the US. You got different routes, and you need to actually plan between which cities you're going to take for a stage. Different stages have different lengths. They give you time. And the idea is you need to race as fast as you can to beat time set by computer opponents. So in this case, we've got... Okay. So now, first thing we need to do is pick a race. So we can load our high scores from tape, or I'm loading the tape version here on disk. You can obviously load them from disk. Now there's 4 routes. We've got LA to New York, Seattle to Miami, SF to Washington, or the US tour, which requires you to visit every single city. I think I'll pick LA to New York. I'll actually do the full race just so you can see how the game works. So we're going to race this route. First thing we've got our starting time. We can actually advance the day a bit. So you can sort of start. I think we'll start at dawn. So it's 6 a.m. And you can see that we've got 8 minutes 20 seconds to do 834 miles. We'll get our scrolling sort of status update across the top of the screen. Tells us the weather is normal. So we can pick any of these stages to start with. Obviously we're at LA, which is the flashing circle and with the green flag. And the goal is to get to New York, which of course is the checkered flag. So let's go. So if you've ever played Enduro on the Atari, you actually know the controls. The basic controls top head, fire button accelerates, left and right, steer, down for brake. The first addition to this game is the gears. You can see at the bottom part of the screen you've got your tachometer, your revs counter on the left, and your speedometer on the lower right. So if we go from left to the right with the full instrument, we've got your fuel gauge on the left. You actually do need to refuel. Fuel stations come every 100 miles, so you need to be prepared for those. And it's a case of just, when's the right time to refuel based on the state of the car versus how much time you have left. It becomes very strategic. One of the things I actually like is that it's not game over if you run out of fuel. You actually have to pump by just rapidly pressing the fire button to sort of push the car to the next stop, which you'll be able to refuel. So as mentioned, we've got the rev counter on the next to that. You can use that to sort of justify rough gear, rough position. Then in the middle, we've got the timer and the remaining distance. And we've got a speedometer on the right, and at the very far right, we have the estimated time, elapsed time counter, along with a radar indicator. The radar indicator is used to detect when police with speed traps. And the idea is at that point, you have the option of trying to slow down when the radar warning comes up, or to just go full pedal to the metal and accelerate as fast as you can, just 240 miles per hour. And yes, if you actually know it's not that hard, but if you do that, you can actually outrun the police, which is good fun. So that's the basic setup of the game. Now, the first part of it is usually you really want to do well in the first couple of legs to start building up some positive time. Now, at this point, you can sort of see I'm starting to run a little low on fuel. Depending on the stage, some stages you can actually complete from a full tank without needing to fuel. So in this case, I will fuel up at the next stop, which is 40 miles away. But but to digest, while we're coming up to fuel. So this is one of the first games I actually had on my C64 as a kid, and I remember just not liking it at all, actually. I just remember finding myself completely unimpressed. Now I've found the fuel tank, and I think a lot of it was just like, I was just so terrible at playing it in those days, to get to be able to survive long enough, and be able to complete the race, stage in time. And you kind of get to that stage where, once it clicks, you kind of know the strategies. You don't want to accelerate all the way to top speed. You can actually... You want to let the speed... You want to be able to stabilize your speed and hold on. So now we've got the city limits warning, and essentially means we're 100 or so miles, just over 100 miles out of town. And this is actually this is sort of one of the big differences of where this Commodore version of the game differs from the original Atari version. The actual effect looks really good on Atari when you turn onto this straight road and the city actually appears over the horizon. On the Commodore, it scrolls in from the side, which, I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's a little effect, but it definitely looks more impressive. And now we've now finished the first stage. Go us. Or go me. So now we can see our average speed for that leg was 136 miles. According to the scroll message along the top, I'm now in 6th. And we're picking what is probably the longest leg of the game in this leg of Albuquerque to St. Louis. So let's do it. So one of the things that's great is each of these stages has their own set of scenery. There's sort of scenery sets, and each stage. So you'll tend to find as you go through the game on a particular race, you'll find that you're not looking at the same. You're looking at more unique setups, which I find is actually nice. The graphics are functional. The frame rate and the controls feel great. Like, I don't feel like I'm having to fight the car. And one of the things, we just got the radar warning. All right, stay in the middle of the road, accelerate to max speed, and we outran the police, which of course I don't advocate doing in real life. So, kind of got into a nice rhythm here. I don't know if I'll get a chance to show you during the play, but I guess I shouldn't have started at 6 a.m. But one of the things I really like is the whole sort of time of day thing. When I started, I advanced the clock to start at 6 a.m. But what happens is you do actually have the nighttime to deal with. And what happens is, especially the transition is really impressive for 1985. You see like the horizon dim, your instruments, that grey panel behind the instruments blackens out, so you can only just see the lights. Then the road, the cars turn to much darker versions. The muted, they sort of turn monochromatic, and then the road changes over. It's an impressive sequence to look at. I really like it for this sort of extra little bit of detail. It's one of the things that this game always felt does really well. Anyway, I better go pull in for fuel. Here we are. I saw the low fuel warning, which is never good. That's one thing I've always found as a glitch is the once you brake, the pitch of the pitch of the engine tends to change, which I've always wondered why that happens, but I feel like it's just a game bug. Not the end of the world. And here we are, approaching the city limits. We've got half a tank of fuel, so I think we don't really need to hit that last stop. Keep it stable. As I was saying, hopefully I've actually caught up in the position. Actually managed to get a little further in the standings and above 6, so about 50 miles out. Here we are, welcome to St. Louis. Welcome to St. Louis. Terrible of me to completely forget where I was going. Okay. So it's a pretty short hop this time. And we've done it. We caught up, gotten into second. And we can see it's now 3 p.m, so we've still got a little while to go. I think we're going to make this leg. I think we're actually going to make this race before it gets dark, unfortunately. But if I can maintain the pace, hopefully I'll even accelerate to first. So yeah, you're not actually directly racing your opponents. It plays out more like a rally where the time's been established and you're just playing catch up. Which I think is sort of, I think there's advantages why. It means that the opposing AI of these cars on screen can be a little simpler. Oh. Alright, I'm going to need the next fuel stop. That'll be the last one before city limits too. Oh! Oh dear. Fingers crossed I make it without running out of fuel. As I said earlier, it's not game over when you run out of fuel, but it'll mean I don't think I have a chance at actually. But the big thing is that it pretty much means I don't think I'll be gunning for first place. Oh! Yeah. Oh! And I ran out of fuel just before I crossed the line. So, we have no fuel. We have 660 miles to go. And I'm still in second place. Can I reclaim first? Probably not. So, yeah. As I said, we were now out of fuel. And it requires me basically continually jab the fire button to pump the car, keep it going as long as you can. The downside, of course, is you've got to keep doing this until you find a fuel stop. At least when that happens, you're not doing this for 100 miles, which is good. At least my memory says. I've played this game a lot, so I don't normally get into such a silly circumstance where I run out of fuel. At least I haven't done it for a long time. But I think it's actually good that I'm demoing it. Yep, gas on right. This is probably one of the only things I kind of don't like for the game, is that the objects are a little too distant. Well, they come in a little too close. But I guess that's about as much as you do with limits of the machine. Here we are. 598 miles to go. We could probably do this on good news is we can actually do this on a full tank of fuel. But yeah, I don't know. The sad question is, I don't know what position I'll come in now. Slipped the gear, accidentally hit up and changed gears, and hence why the car basically had no acceleration. One of the things I actually like, you need to be careful of how you drive the car in this game. I do wish there was a gear display on the instrument panel, but it would have made something that would have been a minor improvement. But yeah, I mean, this game I do really enjoy it. The challenge comes from initially a fairly tight time limit, some crazy patterns of cars sometimes, the unexpected nature of the radar system, but also there are obstacles. So some of the legs of the game, there'll be things. Oh man! Hopefully the sun. Yeah. Good news, we've hit sunset. Hopefully it's dark by the time we cross the line. So you can see that we've lost the background color of the instrument panel, and you can see the sky go to dark blue, then purple, now dark, now grey, black, and now we've gone to night. I quite like the transition, and when you've been playing the game for a while in the nighttime hours, the reverse sequence when it turns to color is just like it's a weird moment. You feel like it's a little interesting. So, but yeah, you have, as I was saying before that, you have the stages where there are some snow stages on the west coast where you have like snow puddles in the middle of. You have snow puddles, like ice puddles, that you need to avoid, and that'll cause your car to slip. There are other stages where you'll see. There'll be barriers and blocking half the road. So there's things like that actually add a bit more to the stages. A lot of the game comes to replayability in really just trying to beat these times. So I'm going to 10:07. Now I can save to tape. In this case, I won't. So that is the Great American Cross Country Road Race. I'm biased because I've always really enjoyed this game, and I still do enjoy it now. It's a really good challenge to race, to complete tracks, even though it's like the same route. You still have this complication. You've got that whole freedom of how you race, which becomes really important on the US tour, because in the US tour you have all the races. I remember the first time I started that mode as a kid, it was like, what do I do? Oh, and I remember just fooling around for ages. It's like, oh, I've got to go to every single city on the map to win, to complete that race. But all in all, I really enjoy this game. There's that challenge, and it feels this kind of rally game wasn't really done, and I haven't really thought of any modern examples since. I guess it's a rather unique thing, I guess, coming from the 80s and coming from that period where there were the movies like Cannonball Run, which I think was what inspired this. So yeah, this is a game I think you should check out. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to bring you another video shortly.